Do you remember that guy, Rodin, that be just sitting in the sidelines in all the Bayonetta games? What if I told you he might actually be stronger than the main character Bayonetta herself? He even has forms that we haven't really seen in action. Like, you probably already know about his base form. He has his devil form, angel form, and even an extra devil form that we haven't really seen in combat. It's only in concept art. There's a lot of questions about this form. Will they use this form in future projects? That's one question. Is this his actual form he's had the whole time and he's been holding back, and the forms we've been seeing is still not all his forms that he can turn into? Who knows? But I bet you there's something else you didn't know. Do you remember the God of Gods, the ruler of Paradiso from the first game Bayonetta had to fight? That was going to recreate the universe and create a whole new universe and stuff like that? I bet you didn't know there was a hierarchy. Down here's the weakest, the second weakest, the third weakest, right here. But then there's the supreme ranking Halo. You know the halos you see above their head when it comes to angel type beings, because Rodin is an angel. They both have the same rank when it comes to supreme powered being. Rodin's up there with the absolute of the best of the best. You probably didn't know that. Rodin is a being in the Bayonetta saga. He's been there from the very beginning. He's extremely powerful, but he's extremely mysterious too. Nobody really knows the limits because he lacks screen time. He seems to be one of those characters that's too broken to interfere, because he would be like a literal living cheat code if he was to interfere, and the game would be too easy, apparently, if he was to jump in. But how strong is Rodin? Well, when you dig into the lore for Rodin, he has quite a bit of abilities, like energy projection being one of them, with flame manipulation. You know how Bayonetta be using her hair to summon a conduit to make her demons punch through her portal like a giant fist type stuff. Rodin can do something similar. The difference being a giant fist of him. It's just him. You see how he's right here, but this big old bullcrap comes like that, like a big fist, like his own version of Wicked Weed. One could say he has abilities like energy projection to be able to make a shield around himself. You can clearly see how big his arm and stuff get when he's using them in combat, like literal big Wicked Weave. And straight up, energy blast to suck you in to make his own black hole type of crap. He's just a scary, strong being. Not to mention, another good way to understand Rodin's might is the fact that, he makes weapons and stuff, and he evidently captured some souls of some fairies, the beings that were really prevalent in Bayonetta Origins and also appeared in Bayonetta 3, beings that even top tier elders like Morgana, aka the teacher for Bayonetta, even respect the fairies' might. And apparently Rodin killed one or trapped one inside of a gun to make a weapon. Doggone it, Rodin. In the Bayonetta multiverse, it's only one of him. He has a base form, and then he has transformations, like his devil form, for example. You can see small glimpses of his strength when Bayonetta was saving John. You can see like a bright flash of red when he initiates his power to throw a big old chunk of a building underwater with that kind of force to mess up a homunculi to help out Bayonetta when he usually doesn't. You can get an idea of his physical attributes, how he can jump ridiculously high. He relies completely on his raw physical strength without doing any summons like Bayonetta and witches do. He just straight up punches this big thing backwards like that, despite him being way smaller than it, to show off his strength here. There's 3 different type of dimension type things, like their version of hell is called Inferno. He be torturing different entities down here in Inferno if he wishes, because he's on a whole other league than most of them. You can see it's clear in occasions like this. Something Bayonetta beat up with, he could also beat up if she didn't do it. Anyway, so if anybody's wondering, yes, he's a true artist. He actually goes down, beats up the demons, and makes them into literal weapons for Bayonetta to use, because that's a part of his craft. Messing them up bad like this. Rodin. In his normal form, he's still immensely powerful and can project energy and project omnidirectional attacks to torture these basic weaker angel type beings in his normal state when it comes to raw power, and even go as far as scare these little baby angels away. As stuff falls on him, it breaks on his skin because he's too durable. Yeah, run away because he's too powerful. Fire projection, yep. He has incredible super strength, which goes for his striking power, knocking them aside with shockwaves. You can see how he just bullies them like nothing. In his lore, he's confirmed to be an incredibly powerful angel, and you see how he's bullying these little minion angels. So this automatically puts him at the top of the hierarchy when it comes to the different angels and demons that are in this universe, because they call him Infinite One. It was even said that the other rulers of Paradiso feared his power. He got exiled because he turned his back on the angels, blah, blah, blah. So you see all these angels right here. Pretty much any angel, almost any angel or inferno in this universe, he should be above technically when it comes to raw power and strength. This is impressive because there's angels that can swallow entire countries with a tornado. There's angels that can cause tsunamis, which are nothing compared to him, part the seas with their might. Might I add, it's also proven he's above a lot of Inferno. An example of them being these Inferno, for example, that can literally pulverize mountains. Based on his lore and hierarchy, he has to be able to punch ridiculously hard. Well, one can say his punching power or blast power. So one can say in his base state, holding himself back immensely, he can already punch apart mountains pretty effortlessly. Or if he's in his first form and he tries to punch a little bit or exert himself a little bit, he should be able to punch with the force to be able to split a country in half. If we assume he's more destructive than beings such as this, which are pretty low in the hierarchy when it comes to the Bayonetta multiverse. Same with being able to punch harder than beings like this that can pulverize mountains. This shouldn't be a surprise because Bayonetta has dang near did country or city-sized explosions in the same game, so yeah, Rodin can definitely produce that kind of force. He's stronger than angels like this who are stated in their lore. They are stated to have the power to destroy the world, not to mention we've seen feats like this on screen. Bayonetta's father in the first Bayonetta game, for example, have shown blast power to be able to destroy a moon somewhere far away with raw blast power, so this is definitely possible in this Bayonetta universe when it comes to busting up planetoids. And if you want to question his raw power being his actual raw strength, they literally talk about he never really holds no weapons other than his bare fist, so he is literally the weapon. He doesn't use weapons the same way Bayonetta and the other witches in this universe do. Oh, and by the way, it gets worse. You remember how Bayonetta likes to summon her demon out of a portal to punch, that being known as Madama Butterfly? He was able to stop Madama's punch with one arm just casual in his first form without even powering up a little bit to show his physical might. Why is this impressive? Because we've seen Bayonetta's demons like Madama Butterfly mess up big old giant fortresses this big with her strength. And these same entities, you see these big fortresses can blast cities in half right down the middle, and Madama can damage or twirl around these big junks like this that can do this. So this proves with his pure muscle power, he can stop Bayonetta summons with one hand chilling, which is like stopping city splitting force with wait a minute. No, actually, this is actually more impressive than stopping city splattering force. Because no matter which version of Madama Butterfly we're talking about from Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, or Bayonetta 3, this powerful demon in general that Bayonetta always uses, Madama Butterfly is the same being that was helpful in fighting this being known as Singularity. Madama Butterfly in her base form is able to damage such a being, and when it comes to her punching power, Rodin is able to stop punches from beings that can actually damage Singularity. In these cases, you can clearly see all the different Madamas damaging him. Boom. This one in particular, you can see this version of Bayonetta summoning Madama to punch Singularity. As you see the fist come through, you can see the damage, them doing it to him, but yet none of this matters to Rodin in his normal standard state. This pretty much means if Rodin was there to fight Singularity, he would be able to damage him as well with his brute strength. Considering how strong this being is, Singularity is a being that was absorbing the different energies of different universes to increase his attack power. And he's a being that later became one with the chaotic energy of the multiverse. Having become one would be considered the universe itself, and he gained control over reality. Not to mention, Singularity had absorbed at least 2,000 worlds. So we know for a fact there's at least 2,000 universes in this Bayo multiverse. Confirmed that Singularity and his minions was going through the multiverse, tearing up the universes one by one. Singularity would have absorbed enough power eventually to the point where he would have erased the entire multiverse with a simple snap. And if you have your doubts, you can literally see on-screen visuals on how Singularity was doing it. Like, it looks like a literal black hole vortex type of thing, absorbing this universe's energy. You can even see after Bayonetta's done fighting Singularity in certain phases of the game, the universe they was in was starting to deteriorate. Like, just notice the destruction in the background as collateral. Notice the collateral of Singularity dying does this to the universe, or the world is about to get sucked up by a literal Singularity. So yeah, they're not exaggerating when they go over this guy's power. Yeah, so Rodin can hold back punches from beings that can damage beings like Singularity in his base state. This being absorbed thousands of universes and became one with them. And Bayonetta character tiers can box it out with these level beings. It's implied Singularity has multiple universes worth of blast power or attack power. Rodin, just like Bayonetta and Madama Butterfly, he could punch him and damage these level beings if he had to. I mean, because Bayonetta Wicked Weave in her first form can. I want to hear you guys' thoughts, though. Do you think Rodin can damage him in his base form, or do you think he would need his devil form? I mean, you would technically need universe-shaking or universe-shattering power to even think about competing or damaging somebody like Singularity, who became part of the energy of the multiverse itself. I mean, it's looking like Rodin should technically be able to damage or shake multiple universes, like on some multiverse-wide scale type of radius type stuff, especially if he goes into his demon mode. Rodin, especially if he tries his hardest, could definitely punch with the force equivalent of multiple universes. considering that he's on par with Bayonetta or greater, one could say. You got Paradiso over here, you got Inferno, and they're basically mirror images of each other in the hierarchy. Look how Jubileus looks similar to Queen Sheba. You see what I mean? Despite them being completely opposites when it comes to ruling. It's confirmed that Rodin, like I showed in this video already, that he was having rulers of Paradiso worried or feared his power, rumors say. What does this mean? Do you remember that super divine being in the first game, Jubileus the Creator? The one that Bayonetta had to fight? Bayonetta is the type of character that trolls a lot and has fun when she fights these angels and messes with them and tortures them. She tortures them in hilarious fashion, humiliating them and everything. When Jubileus pops up, she immediately goes in serious mode. You see how her hair goes up like that, Wicked Weave style? When Bayonetta and her opponents fight each other, sometimes in the game they show like some unit or numbers on the screen to get you hype as a player. These numbers right here are actual units of measurement, so this is kind of interesting how it says 150 gigaton. This could be a game mechanic, or it could be them trying to poke fun at how hard they're punching or whatever, blah blah blah, it doesn't matter. But I just wanted to throw this out there, that when Queen Sheba is summoned, which is basically the equivalent of Jubileus over here, notice her numbers. This is more than likely just to poke fun, but I just find it interesting, out of all the summons, this summon just has a ridiculous number on their gigaton little area. They say infinton, then they say limit exceeded. Stuff like that makes me wonder if Rodin was in a final climax summon like that, would his also say infinton or whatever. Apparently when it comes to the hierarchy of the top tiers, you can tell who's stronger based on their rank, and you can see their ranks by their halo. Look at the way Rodin's halo looks when he's in his angel state, because he is a fallen angel after all. I find it suspicious when you look at the different ranks when it comes to the spheres and the halos. The way his halo looks over here is all the way up here at the supreme rank. That's the same rank as Jubileus the Creator herself, a supreme level divine top ranking being. So it looks like the lore about beings or rulers from Paradiso fearing his power was definitely true based on the way the ranks look. One of the head directors or whatever of Bayonetta was asked a question about, could Jubileus destroy a universe without the eyes of the world? And he said, could be trolling, but based on all the villains that have popped up in this Bayonetta multiverse, based on the pure lore we've already seen without this statement, it makes a lot of sense for Jubileus to be able to destroy the universe. I mean, it just makes sense at this point for angel-like beings that are ranked as high as Rodin to be able to punch apart universes. So he definitely should be on par with the God of God tiers like Jubileus, and even other beings like Aesir, who have given Bayonetta herself trouble. Bayonetta trouble to the point where he actually messed up her own summons and even had Bayonetta by the throat. Beings like this that Rodin should be on par with. And pretty much there's no reason on why you can't respect Rodin. He's literally at the top of the food chain, up here with the highest rankings. He can punch apart and threaten multiple universes with his power. Yeah, you probably didn't know Rodin was this crazy. We need a game where he's just a playable character throughout the whole thing. He's up there with Jubileus. There's a good chance he's mightier than Bayonetta herself. But before I get going, everybody, did you guys know he was this strong? What did you learn new about Rodin? Did this help you want to get into the Bayonetta saga? This saga is in my top 5 favorite video games of all time, so yeah, you should get into it. The gameplay is just stellar. But before I get going, thanks for the generous donations, everybody. It helps out a lot. Respect Rodin. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.